Donald J. Trump has taken oath as the 45th President of the United States. Hello and welcome to all the viewers of India Today. I'm Smita Sharma and this is going to be the most comprehensive coverage of that historic inaugural ceremony that the world witnessed on Friday. We will be going over to Washington, D.C. as well, where Nishant Chaturvedi, my colleague, will get you all the ground updates and the mood in this very special broadcast. But the images, of course, that the world watched. Donald J. Trump, who was administered oath of office by the Supreme Court Chief Justice Roberts in that inaugural ceremony, even as there were unprecedented protests on the streets of Washington, D.C. Lights coming out on the streets while Donald J. Trump, the multi-billionaire real estate mogul, a former reality TV star surrounded by his family members, took oath of office in that western porch front of the Capitol. But the mood in the United States remains edgy as people continue to ask, will Donald Trump be able to unite America? Visuals on your television screens of protests that took place across Washington, D.C. People came in from different parts of the United States, and these visuals of slogans shouting, mostly Afro-Americans, Latinos, Hispanics, taking to the streets. Police, of course, had to discharge these mobs by the use of gas shelling or even, in fact, water cannons. But these protests have not ended clearly. On Saturday, there is that march that has been organized by the women's team as well. People still not willing to accept Donald J. Trump as the new president who has succeeded Barack Obama. And let's now go over, in fact, to Washington, D.C. to my colleague, Nishant Chaturvedi.
Hello and welcome to this special broadcast from Washington, D.C. What an inauguration it has been. Indeed, the most controversial and divisive in American history. President Trump made his war cry well known on Friday, America first. But as the Trump era begins, everyone is wondering what this means for America and for the rest of the world.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
America's 45th President, Donald John Trump, and his vision, America First.
Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C. and giving it back to you, the people.
From the podium at the domed U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C., Donald Trump capped his swift ascent as he was sworn in as the new President of the United States.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
Through the clear, cool morning, crowds of people began descending on the nation's capital, some to celebrate while others to protest.
He's been elected as a president, so what is the need for these protests? I mean, it's all said and done now.
The popular vote was for Hillary Clinton, and we want our democracy to move forward in a progressive manner, not backwards 50 years, for women, people of color, immigrants. We don't want discrimination.
The world is watching us. The world is watching us, and it's important that we stand up and not take that.
Among those in attendance were also former U.S. Presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton and George W. Bush. And then the Trumps made their way to the Capitol. Finally, the man of the honor showed up with his predecessor.
Guard my
Under dark clouds and a swollen sky, musical performances kicked off the elaborated oath ceremony. Before Trump took the oath, Mike Pence took the oath of the Vice President.
I, Michael Richard Pence, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
And then came Trump's turn.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
the office of President of the United States.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
With that, Donald Trump ascended to the highest office in America. Now only years to come will tell whether he will make America great again. Bureau Report, India Today.
The meat of the inauguration was President Trump's 12-minute inaugural speech, which was indeed shorter than Barack Obama's 20-minute inaugural speech. Here are the 5 key pointers of President Trump's inaugural speech.
We assembled here today are issuing a new decree to be heard in every city, in every foreign capital, and in every hall of power. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. Every decision on trade, on taxes, on immigration, on foreign affairs will be made to benefit American workers and American families. We must protect our borders from the ravages of other countries making our products, stealing our companies, and destroying our jobs. We will get our people off of welfare and back to work, rebuilding our country with American hands and American labor. We will follow 2 simple rules: buy American and hire American. We will shine for everyone to follow. We will reinforce old alliances and form new ones and unite the civilized world against radical Islamic terrorism, which we will eradicate completely from the face of the earth. The crime and the gangs and the drugs that have stolen too many lives and robbed our country of so much unrealized potential. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now.
Of course, Donald Trump is an unpredictable man, an unpredictable leader at the moment, which is why the world streamed in to watch this inaugural speech. India Today had a comprehensive coverage. We got the first reactions from our team of global correspondents tracking this inaugural speech. Let's listen in to what our correspondents had to say.
He is talking also about the ISIS, which I can say that he cannot just concerned on ISIS while he wants to ignore the other issues in the Middle East, like you can see Egyptian situation, you can see the war between Saudi Arabia and Yemen.
At this point in time, he is still more a billionaire tycoon than a politician. So that remains to be seen. Yet there is still hope because he was ready to embrace Britain with Brexit.
we see split reaction. We see apprehension amongst the people, especially because of his comments during the campaign about Muslims, about immigration, and very strong vetting. So a lot of young people who were hoping to go to US to work, as a lot of young people always do from Pakistan, are now apprehensive that they may not be able to go there to study or to work.
The phrase that I've been hearing a lot today and yesterday is hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So that's something that's a sense we're getting here in Beijing, that there's a lot of concern about the rhetoric from Donald Trump aimed at China, especially on the trade front, where he's threatened imposing as much as 45% tariff on Chinese imports, which would have huge ramifications for Chinese industries.
Yes, nationalism, flag, but also God. A lot of mention about God, how God's going to make sure that America stays great, becomes great, the greatest nation in the world. So in that, he echoes previous presidents and a long tradition in America that appeals to a white Christian nationalism. And so along with what your other guests have said, all of which I agree with, I would also suggest that we pay attention to the role of religion in his speech.
This is President Trump being Donald. This is essentially his stump speech. There's populism, nationalism. It's a formula which is used now in popularity all over the world. He's addressed, in fact, the phrases he used right in the beginning, the forgotten people, he used immediately after his election. He's appealing to the very constituency which has voted him in. And then he's gone to anti-globalization, protectionism, and then nationalism and flag.
For over 2 years, Trump has been non-stop in public eye. After his shock victory last year, he took a long walk to his inaugural today. The billionaire wore a Republican red tie, which is also a symbol of power, and a grim frown on his face.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President-elect of the United States, Donald John Trump.
As the world streamed in to watch Donald Trump take oath as the 45th President of the United States, the cameras had fascinating stories to tell.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
Trump gave Michelle a peck on the cheek, while Melania gifted a wrapped box to Michelle.
We got to be official picture. So now we'll get used to the protocol. You go right here.
Obama and Donald exchanged pleasantries as awkward friends. The action then shifted to the oath-taking ceremony. Hillary Clinton, Trump's fiery opponent, came in braving a smile to the cameras. While Michelle was seen with former First Lady Laura Bush, Obama was accompanied with his Vice President and friend Joe Biden, ready to wave final goodbyes. Melania Trump, the new First Lady, was seen in a blue, double-faced cashmere mock turtleneck, a Ralph Lauren dress, and in high heels, she evoked images of Jackie Kennedy. She walked cautiously with a nervous smile on her face. Her daughter Ivanka, who's likely to play the role of a de facto White House hostess, was rather calm. Her husband, Jared Kushner, is appointed the senior advisor to her father in the White House. The duo looked in charge, walking in with the rest of the first family. As the camera zoomed in, Donald Trump walked in with his quintessential expression with a smirk. With his unbuttoned long jacket and a red long tie with small knot, Trump looked the alone tough guy.
Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. Politicians prospered, but the jobs left and the factories closed. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. Their victories have not been your victories. Their triumphs have not been your triumphs.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will.
But as Supreme Court Chief Justice administered the oath of office to President Trump and he took the mic, there seemed a last-minute nervous flutter.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Trump exchanged a quick kiss with Melania standing close by. Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, the inaugural speech done, but Donald Trump awaits a lot of challenges ahead. There's also going to be protests that will continue at least for some time. Stephen Herman now joins us live from Washington, D.C., the senior diplomatic correspondent in White House for the Voice of America. Steve, it's been a long day, and it's a day that the entire world is really looking towards the United States. What does it look like? Donald Trump is busy signing a lot of executive actions. What are his key priority areas going to be?
Well, I think this comes as no surprise. He's making good on his vows to try to turn around 8 years of what the Obama administration did. He has signed an executive order to weaken the so-called Obamacare, the widespread health care insurance initiative. And he gave a speech that was quite simple, quite brief, probably could be understood by an 8-year-old, very much in line with the rhetoric he had during the campaign, saying it's all about America first, and also saying that the American carnage stops right here and right now, and also explicitly saying that the United States is going to go out and defeat radical Islam. So some very tough, very direct words and some very immediate and direct actions by the new president of the United States.
You know, Steve, these are immediate words for sure, but does it look like he's a man who is moving forward with a specific plan? Because when you talk about radical Islamic terrorism, is he talking about the Islamic State per se? Is he talking about the various militant groups operating in the Afpak region? What does it look like in terms of its team that has a mixture of experience and people who are outsiders to the political corridors?
Raise your right hand.
Well, I think those are questions that really cannot be answered yet, because the defense secretary just was confirmed on Friday, the day that he took office. There is not a secretary of state confirmed yet, and the underlayers, the undersecretaries, deputy secretaries that really run these ministries are not in place. So there is no game plan yet. There is still a lot of rhetoric, and now we're starting to see some sort of action, but it's all still quite vague at this very moment.
You know, Steve, what did you make of the inaugural speech? It looked like Donald Trump wasn't really trying to reach out to the baiters. He was addressing his core constituency because the protests still continue. Would you say these protests are only a handful of people in Washington, D.C. or more widespread?
No, the protests are tens of thousands of people. Those who caused violence on Friday were only a handful of people, and they got most of the attention. But the inaugural speech itself was definitely directed straight at his constituency. There were a few words where he tried perhaps to reach out to a larger audience, talking about a great national effort to rebuild the country and for everybody to come together. But as some commentators are saying, this wasn't an open-handed speech. It was a speech with a clenched fist. Both to those who might oppose him domestically and the perceived enemies of the United States around the world.
Okay, we'll leave it there, Steve Herman. Clearly, of course, there's a lot that is still unanswered. We will need time to try and figure out those many questions that people all over the world, not just Americans, are asking at the moment. Steve Herman, appreciate you joining us on India Today from Washington, D.C. You're watching India Today and a very comprehensive coverage from Delhi to DC on the new US President Donald Trump. I'm Smita Sharma. Nishant Chaturvedi, my colleague, has also been reporting from Washington, DC. But in 2009, as the 44th President of the United States, Barack Obama had talked about dusting off as far as America was concerned, picking up America and remaking it. After 8 years in office, when he passed the baton to Donald J. Trump on Friday, Donald Trump spoke about making America great again. Here's a look at how that chemistry during the transition played out between Donald J. Trump and Barack Obama.
One last walk as president.
Preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Handing the baton to the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, leaving behind a mixed legacy of achievements and controversies. As the hours ticked down on the Obama era, the vibe was entirely different. An awkward hug between the outgoing president and the new president, who has promised to make America great again.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
Political pundits say that Obama brought unmatched honor and dignity to the Oval Office.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
And who can forget his heart-touching speech when he first became President of the United States in 2009.
To all the other peoples and governments who are watching today, from the grandest capitals to the small village where my father was born, know that America is a friend of each nation and every man, woman, and child who seeks a future of peace and dignity, and we are ready to lead once more.
But after 2 successful terms under his presidency, world's oldest democracy voted for Donald Trump.
We are grateful to President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama for their gracious aid throughout this transition. They have been magnificent. Thank you.
And then the former first couple waved goodbye, took a chopper and leaving the capital for Donald and Melania Trump. Bureau Report, India Today.
President Donald Trump's war cry, America First, has got mixed response all over the world. But yeah, it does remind you of Prime Minister Modi's India First slogan. But if President Trump wants jobs to remain in America, and if he says hire and buy in America, will it not going to affect the Indian interest in America?
America first.
India first.
Abhi ki bar, Trump Sarkar.
Ab ki bar.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
The Constitution.
When US President Donald Trump takes oath of his office, the world observes an inescapable similarity.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Succeeding Obama as the 45th president, Trump outlines his vision of a new national populism promising to put America first. Just on the line of the mantra adopted by our own Prime Minister Narendra Modi, promising to put interest of India above everything.
We will build new roads and highways and bridges.
In his inaugural speech, Donald Trump promises to follow new rules of economic protectionism, buy American and hire American. While the significance of the slogan is being construed by the world leaders, its resemblance with Modi's Make in India pitch remains unmistakable.
To put their own interests first. We will follow 2 simple rules: buy American and hire American.
मैं आज लाल किले की प्राचीर से विश्व भर में लोगों से कहना चाहता हूं Come, make in India.
Not only that, the world might not have forgotten Trump's video campaign adapting Prime Minister Narendra Modi's winning slogan of the 2014 polls, Ab ki baar Modi Sarkar.
Ab ki baar Trump Sarkar.
Ab ki baar.
While PM Modi congratulated Donald Trump on assuming charge of the top office, expecting to further deepen ties between the two countries, all eyes remain on how the two leaders together realize the full potential of India-US relations. Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, we'll have to wait to see that first meeting between Donald Trump and Narendra Modi as and when it happens. But remember, with Donald Trump giving that war cry of America first, it has raised several questions and apprehensions amongst Indians as to what does it mean for the Indian industry, the Indian worker, especially the tech industry in the United States, because Donald Trump has also promised to take action against the misuse of H-1B and L-1 visas. Here's what Samir Saran, the Vice President of the strategic think tank Observer Research Foundation, had to say on what to expect.
We need to ensure, Trump, that we are a service economy that is largely partnering with your big companies in our service sector. We are not encroaching on your manufacturing, and we are not parasitic to your manufacturing sector, and hence we are convenient partners. And I think there is a degree of convenience between India and America today, the way our economies are structured, that America does not share with any other.
But clearly, when it comes to Donald Trump's foreign policy, there are several unknowns. World leaders are worried, apprehensive. When Donald Trump says that I will eradicate radical Islamic terrorism, what does it imply for the Afghanistan-Pakistan region? I spoke to former President Hamid Karzai, asking him, what about the terror sponsor state of Pakistan, and also other world leaders about how apprehensive they are of international agreements, including the climate change pact to the Iran nuclear deal when it comes to the new Trump administration. Listen in.
That they must go to those places where the sanctuaries are, and to those elements who train them and motivate them and give them the resources. They are beyond Afghanistan.
And you know, that's one country, in fact, where India also faces similar problems with. We're talking about Pakistan here. So cross-border terrorism is something that Afghanistan faces from Pakistan, India faces from Pakistan. And the grudge has been that US has not really leveraged its influence on Islamabad in turning the tap off the jihadi outfits.
Not at
How
all.
will that happen?
That has to change. If they want to succeed, that must change. They cannot win by bombing Afghan villages, because terrorism is not to be found there in the first place. They must go to the sanctuaries, to the places where the elements or the forces that train terrorism are there, or the forces that use extremism as an instrument of policy, of foreign policy are there. And they must change that by talking, by all other means. Second, I hope also that President Trump would turn into actionable policy his good feelings towards Russia and President Putin, and in that vein get into a stronger relationship with India and China as well on terrorism and on extremism.
France's position has always been very tough, but very respectful at the same time. We said to the Iranians, we have nothing against Iran, but what we have in Iran is a major possible crisis of nuclear proliferation, which is not acceptable, which would not be acceptable. So we made sure that this agreement is very safe. We were the one, maybe the harder in a negotiation, very demanding. And as now we come to this result, we consider it would be a mistake not to keep this agreement, because it's playing its role.
Climate agreement, the Paris Agreement, is the cornerstone of global efforts in countering the threat of climate change. And we expect every country to respect the commitments that have been made.
So world leaders apprehensive if Donald Trump will respect the international agreements, or will his administration start off with scrapping them. It's time for a quick break on this very special broadcast here. But up next, on the other side, we get you the visuals of the inaugural ball. Donald Trump with First Lady Melania Trump. Stay tuned.
So what we just saw was the first inaugural ball of President Donald Trump. He and his wife did their first dance. And it was incredible when he said that till now, everybody who used to say that we are not doing good, we cannot do anything good, after I've taken the oath, they started saying that we are going to make America great again. This is Nishan Chaturvedi for India Today from the first inaugural ball of President Donald Trump.
Well, so Donald J. Trump, First Lady Melania Trump with that inaugural ball and their first dance, including their immediate family and Vice President Mike Pence and his family as well. The inaugural events officially conclude with the National Prayer Service, but the work and challenges begin for Donald J. Trump to make America great again. This was a special broadcast here on India Today, all the way from Delhi to Washington, D.C. If you have been, thanks for watching. Goodbye.